Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We are really delighted to have you here. My name is Leanne and I am the product owner for Twinkl Life, which is the team at Twinkl responsible for making resources on primary PSHE and citizenship and for whole school wellbeing. I am joined today by our lovely team of content writers who research and write all of our fantastic resources. So please say hello to Faye, Alice and Rose.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So we are delighted to be here today to talk about Mental Health Awareness Week, which is next week from the 10th to the 16th of May. It's a subject very close to our hearts on the Twinkl Life team. So as you all know, mental health teaching is now statutory through the relationship and health education objectives. It has been an essential part of PSHE teaching for some time now. And I'm sure that you'll agree that mental health awareness has never been more important than it is right now in wider society and therefore in our schools as well. So Mental Health Awareness Week and other mental health awareness celebrations are a great opportunity to talk about mental health. So we're here today to share teaching ideas to help you celebrate the event and also to embed mental health teaching into your practice for the rest of the year too. So Alice, with mental health being so important in the curriculum at the moment, and Mental Health Awareness Week is such a great opportunity to share this, how can we involve the whole school community in celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week?
I do think that whole school involvement is really important. I think often with an awareness week, it works well to plan a whole school event at the start of the week if that's at all possible. So all members of the school community can have it as context to refer to when they're discussing it in class. Twinkl Life's Mental Health Awareness Week Whole School Assembly is a perfect resource for this. It covers such areas as what mental health is, why it's important to look after our mental health, and different ways we can do this. The assembly is really targeted at a primary age appropriate level, and it defines mental health as how we're feeling, how this affects what we do, and how our feelings can affect how we manage our daily lives and decisions. And I think that bit's really important, being the day-to-day element of mental health. Whole School Assembly is a really good opportunity to introduce the main theme of this year's Mental Health Week, Mental Health Awareness Week, as nature. That's a key concept that hopefully will be able to then be picked up in classrooms later on in the week. And there are loads of benefits that connecting with nature can bring, from feeling calm and happy, keeping our minds and bodies healthy through exercise, social connections, to learning new skills. And by introducing the Mental Health Awareness Week in a whole school assembly and discussing the theme of nature as a whole school, it does offer that context. So teachers and children, everyone throughout the whole school community can come back to refer to the whole school assembly that we've all received. And it just gives that feeling of collaboration, of a shared goal, that there's a shared understanding of the learning through the school that week. The assembly invites children to think about ways they can connect with nature, and it makes it relevant and accessible on an individual level. So although the theme of nature is focused on specifically through this resource, children are encouraged to look at the wider element of mental health as well and make their mental health a priority in any way possible. And that really is what this week is supposed to be all about. It's starting conversations, making mental health and wellbeing a real focus.
Leanne, I think you're still muted.
Thank you very much. That's the perils of Zoom calls, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alice. So, as you touched on there, the theme of Mental Health Awareness Week this year is connecting with nature, which is perfect for this time of year with the springtime and the good weather. Rose, can you tell us a bit about why nature is so good for mental health and how we can use that in the classroom?
Yeah, sure. Spending time in nature or bringing nature into our lives in any way we can, whatever our situation, it can really help us to feel happy, calm, settled, relaxed, manage uncomfortable feelings like worry or stress. It can help keep our bodies healthy, which helps our minds to feel good, make connections with others and the world around us, and also maybe learn a new skill or gain new knowledge, and that helps us to feel good about ourselves. And like you guys have said, Mental Health Awareness Week is a really great opportunity to explore the theme of nature, but also all the key mental health messages alongside this. It's really important that it's done in an age-appropriate and sensitive way, and in a way we can engage children in this discussion. It might be that you want to set aside specific lessons to really focus on this event and the messages of mental health. If you need inspiration on this or how to tackle this in a lesson, or if time is short for you getting anything ready, we've made 3 really super ready to use lesson packs for this event. There's one for Key Stage 1, one for Lower Key Stage 2, and one for Upper Key Stage 2. And all of these contain a lesson plan for the teacher, a presentation for the children, and activities for individuals or groups. It might be that you don't have time to do a whole lesson on it. You might want to tackle it in a little each day way during the week. Maybe start each morning or each afternoon with an activity which encourages the children to engage with the theme of nature and how bringing it into our lives is beneficial for mental health. We've got a pack of ready-to-use standalone activities as well that can be used with children of all ages, enough for at least one a day, to explore the positive impacts of nature on mental health. There's a presentation, colouring activities, poem writing, designing and making posters, word searches, and mindful activities such as meditations and relaxations, and how to take that mindful moment outdoors. Another way to tackle this would be through a cross-curricular approach. I think Faye's got some fab ideas on how you could do that.
Thank you. Yes, so as you say, Rose, we've got lots of lovely resources that really help teachers save time planning, and they can instantly use those next week. And it is so important to teach children about well-being and explicitly teach about emotions and feelings and mental health. But equally, we know teachers' time is really precious, and sometimes an event week can be really hard to drop everything else and focus on, and it can be difficult to come off timetable or fit it into the curriculum. So if there's a way of bringing Mental Health Awareness Week into your full timetable and bring it through some other subjects, then that can be a good way in as well. It might be that you could take some of your subjects that you've already planned for next week and give them a little bit of a twist. Perhaps your PE lessons for next week, if they were going to be indoors, you take them outside. Perhaps those PE lessons could have a greater emphasis on how exercise makes us feel inside and how it benefits our mental well-being as well as our physical well-being. Perhaps in those PE lessons, children could spend a little bit longer on their warm-ups and their cool-down exercises, incorporating a little bit of yoga and mindful breathing, just to again explore those themes, but tagging them onto the end or the beginning of a lesson that you would have been doing anyway. Of course, there's lots of opportunities with other subjects. Some of them really lend themselves to being taken outside. If the weather's nice next week, you might be able to take your drama lesson, your geography lesson, science, music, arts lesson outside. Even if the lesson itself doesn't need really change the content, you could still perhaps, connect with nature and sort of try to get children to think a little bit more about their surroundings whilst they're doing one of those subjects. And it might be that some of your lessons that you've already planned for next week lend themselves really well to tying into this theme anyway. You might be doing in science at the moment a topic about plants, or you might be looking at an artist who's done some paintings of outdoors or nature or landscapes, so that you can make those links and it won't feel like a lot of extra work, hopefully. And even just if it's sharing a story at the end of the day, and that takes place outside next week, so that you can have a little bit of a talk around the benefits of nature and how they do benefit our mental well-being. And perhaps just before you share that story at the end of the day, out in the playground or on the field, you stop and do some mindfulness and feel the breeze on your face and talk about the bird song, just to try to help children connect, and yeah, sort of fit it in as best you can rather than panic about lots of extra work to do for next week.
Thank you so much, Faye. Yeah, loads of brilliant ideas there about how to teach Mental Health Awareness Week across the curriculum. Of course, for good practice in teaching about mental health, we need to teach it regularly, you know, across the year. Alice, how can we maintain this good practice beyond Mental Health Awareness Week?
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a really good question. As Faye and Rose have both touched on, there are some fantastic ways that we can make sure we get involved with Mental Health Awareness Week next week, whether that's in whole lesson ideas or snippets here and there, connecting with nature, enabling children to focus on their feelings. Yeah, the purpose of the Awareness Week is to connect during the week, but also maintain those connections and build the dialogue, make your classroom a safe space for discussion, and make mental health and wellbeing a real priority for everyone there. So I think building as many ways as you can into your regular classroom practice is such a good thing to do, if at all possible. And as we've already said, ways to do this could be yeah, taking your story outside. It's a read aloud. It's something you're going to do every day anyway, so maybe we could take it outside if that's a nice way to connect with nature and just to enjoy that wind down and just to enjoy being somewhere different as a class. There's something to be said for a different environment and being there together, just sharing that experience. On Twinkl Life resources, we've got lots of mindful moments, yoga stories, lots of short snippets that you can fit in to the curriculum you're teaching throughout the week, the month and the year, so that can really be built upon. I think one thing that's quite helpful to bear in mind is the 5 strands of learning that really do support mental wellbeing throughout the year, and those are to stay connected, to get active, to keep on learning, be mindful, and to share kindness. And I think if we all keep those at the back of our minds, they're quite good ways to just really reinforce that mental health and wellbeing is a priority. So if we think about how we could use those in a classroom situation, to stay connected, even just by varying groups we work with children, grouping children differently, different pairs, different groupings, encouraging them to build connections that they may well not otherwise build themselves in their social groups, I think is a nice way to just those connections. The next one on our list is get moving, get active. Again, everyone loves a bit of activity in the classroom. If you can find a relevant reason to stand up and get moving, great. If not, for the sake of it, stand up, have a jump around. Just sometimes helps to have a shake about and really kind of rejig the concentration, I think. The next one we would have, so be mindful, again, building those short snippets in where children can really get the benefit of reflecting and taking some time to focus on mental well-being, and that can just be 10 minutes at the end of the day or at the start of a day. Sometimes transition points are really the times of benefit that I've found, and of course then we come on to another strand of keep learning. I think that will be quite easy to cover in school, but actually it's what they're doing all the time. It's nice to feel that they're imparting some wisdom as well. So maybe if you can, in a plenary where children get the chance to share something they've learned with a partner. So just seeing the learning they've done be beneficial for somebody else as well. And of course sharing kindness, that strand that we really hope everybody just really keeps at the back of their minds all the time, really. That's something that we can model, we can praise when it goes well. It's quite helpful to set up some little systems where that can be really easily shown and remembered, to keep it at the forefront of everybody's mind. Little things like different nomination boxes or random acts of kindness bingo. Just little ways to keep it, to keep children engaged with that. I find if we keep those 5 strands at the forefront of our mind, that mental health and wellbeing will be something that's built into classroom practice regularly, and hopefully keep our classroom a safe, open space for lots of discussion on the subject.
You make some really, really super points, Alice, and about maintaining that good practice about mental health and wellbeing outside of Mental Health Awareness Week. And I think another thing we can do is just keep in our minds all of the times those key messages that we want children to explore and understand about mental health. So whatever we're doing, even the little interactions, the day-to-day conversations, that we keep those messages in mind, that children need to explore and understand what mental health is, how we can look after it. And it's important that we make looking after our minds part of our daily lives. They need to understand that we can all have times when our minds feel healthy and others when they don't feel so good. And when they don't feel so good, that it's okay to talk about it, share how we're feeling, and know that there are always people who can help. Helping them understand that mental health affects our thoughts, our feelings, and behaviour. And it's perfectly normal to experience a wide range of feelings, and that some feel good, others feel uncomfortable. But however we're feeling, if those uncomfortable feelings affect our thoughts and our behaviour in a way that hurts ourselves or others, that we must talk to someone we trust about and ask for help. Just make it a really open and honest conversation, just in day-to-day classroom life. And just really important that they know that if they or someone they know is struggling with their thoughts and feelings, that it's really important to ask for help. And I think one way that we can have this open and honest and transparent conversation and ethos in the classroom is to have a really regular and well-planned PSHE and citizenship curriculum, and we're all completely passionate about that. It's something we feel is really important in the classroom, in schools. And Twinkl Life's PSHE and citizenship curriculum means all pupils are continually exploring key mental health and wellbeing topics, the themes and the concepts. And it meets all of the statutory requirements for teaching on mental health and wellbeing, and even more. So please, if you've not had a look, do take a look, explore it, and get in touch with any questions you have about it, because we really do believe in the power of that well-planned PSHE curriculum.
Yeah, I was just the thing I would add to this section about sort of continuing that mental health awareness all the year round rather than just during a focus week, is how we can extend those links between school and then the wider community. Again, we want to embed that sense of making sure that families have got the support they need, and that they see how much a school values mental well-being, and schools can sort of reach out to parents and carers by sharing things that they've done in a focus week. So next week, if you are celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week as a school, you could send home a newsletter all about the activities the children have done, or put something on the school website. Or if you have a school Twitter account or social media account, you could update families on what's been going on during that week, so that they can follow some of those practices on, and use some of the ideas at home perhaps, and keep that going. So perhaps the school newsletter always has a section linked to well-being. Perhaps you can send home some nature-themed activities for families to try at home after school or at the weekend. Nature trails, scavenger hunts, nature-themed craft activities, that sort of thing, so that you can keep that going and facilitate that at home as well as at school. Be nice if families were then encouraged to send in their ideas of nature-related wellbeing activities that they've taken part in, or perhaps they can post photos of activities they've done. And even staff members could add photos of themselves participating in wellbeing activities outside of the school day too, just kind of really showing that everybody's been thinking about it and taking part in those sorts of things. It's also perhaps worth the school penciling in a few other dates for the diary, or events that could take place around the school year. So if you're keen to celebrate wellbeing as a school and you're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week next week, perhaps you could think about some other activities later in the year that you could book in, such as a sponsored walk in the local area, or an Art for Wellbeing focus week, and even the school summer fair and Christmas fair could have a wellbeing focus. just trying to sort of really bring those ideas in on a more regular basis. And then finally, perhaps thinking beyond next week as a focus week, schools could think about the clubs and activities that they could run and that they offer for children throughout the school year, to really develop mental well-being. So it might be lunchtime or before or after school clubs, but it might be things like gardening, yoga, art, music, things that lots of us feel can be really beneficial to our well-being, and hopefully, you know, can really help the children with continually reflecting on their feelings or boosting their self-confidence, and yeah, keeping that going outside of the classroom and outside of the focus weeks.
Thank you all. Some really, really great points there. I think what's really interesting is that although you all talked about different things, they all had the key theme of it being so important that the conversations about mental health are really normalised as a natural part of day-to-day life. Of course, we know that mental health and well-being has to start with ourselves, because happier teachers make for happier children and happier schools. On the team, we all have backgrounds in teaching, and so we're fully aware of how the stresses and strains of the world of teaching can lead to negative impacts on our mental health and well-being. So yeah, Mental Health Awareness Week represents a really good opportunity to share mental health awareness and good mental health self-care with the children that we teach, but also with ourselves. So Alice, can you just tell us a bit about how we can lead by example and practice all of this brilliant mental health self-care for ourselves?
Of course, and it is a tricky one, isn't it? Leading by example is something we're expected to do quite a lot of as teachers, and leading by example to make ourselves a priority can be a tricky thing to remind ourselves to do. But, you know, we are all kind of, we feel better about ourselves when we are more rested, more and when we've had a chance to prioritise our self-care. So I think this is an absolutely great place to start, and a really good chance for us, hopefully next week, to build that into our daily practice, and therefore really do truly lead by example for the children we teach. And let's start with nature. I mean, nature is a theme for Mental Health Awareness Week, obviously, and there are many benefits to nature, that for children and adults alike. It improves mood, it helps us all feel more relaxed, it can improve to reduce stress and anger, it can improve our physical health and help us be more active, improve our confidence and self-esteem, and it offers chance for social connections, which we've seen discussed already, are so important. And there are hopefully lots of ways we can try and build nature as a starting point into the mental health and well-being time for ourselves, and use it as a way to kind of safeguard that time, and really prioritise that time, giving ourselves some space to focus on our mental health and well-being. We could go for a walk. That could be with a friend to build those social connections again, maybe just alone, enjoying the time and the space, really. Make it a mindful moment. Think of, you know, what you can see, what you can hear, really feel grounded in the present. There is so much to see out there, even in the smallest green space. So I think that's a really good place that we can all start, and try some mindfulness. Mindfulness is fantastic anywhere, but let's bring that outside. We've said that the weather is often good at this time of year, but if that's not the case, we can embrace the concept of hygge, the Danish concept that includes many ideas, really focusing on kind of well-being and environment, and self-care. It could be getting snugly inside, but it could be bringing some nature inside. If the weather is not with us that day, bring some nature inside, enjoy nature that way. Consider like atmospheric lighting, coziness, really kind of use it as a time to kind of feel snugly and to look after yourself. Another way to embrace the nature is to exercise, obviously, and with exercise we get the benefit of the physical health as well as the mental health, and we do know how closely intertwined those are. Other ways to, on a broader scale, to look after ourselves and hopefully invest in our mental health and well-being is investing time in any hobby. crafting can be wonderful. Many possibilities, obviously, from painting to sculpture, and with that we see progress. It often involves kind of slow, gentle movements, which again have been proved to be really good for our mental health and well-being. It can lead to social connections, again, another benefit. So I think with a lot of these things, we can be doing them to prioritise our own mental health and well-being. Actually, while we do them, we get other benefits that come with them. And on the subject of hobbies, gardening is a fantastic place to start as well, to embrace that nature. Could be just pruning a houseplant, watering a houseplant, or, you know, planting, designing a border in your garden if you're feeling more ambitious. It's calming, you know, it gives us a sense of ownership and real satisfaction. So I think there are many ways we can try and focus on our own well-being, and it's hard to remember to do that. It's hard to remember to give ourselves the priority, to give ourselves that time. But, we do all feel better. We're more rounded, more rested when we have given ourselves that priority. So use Mental Health Awareness Week to start building that priority in for ourselves. I think would be really helpful and really beneficial on a wider teaching level as well as on a self-care level.
Thank you so much, Alice. There's some really great advice there, and something that I will definitely try to put into practice next week. And thank you all, Rose, Alice and Faye, for some really, really brilliant hints and tips there for how to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Week in the classroom, and also embed it into our wider practice as well. So we really hope that you find these ideas for celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week useful. If you do take away one thing from this, it's to make time to care for yourself in Mental Health Awareness Week, so that you can share that great practice with your children from a place of experience. We do have another live event next week from the Twinkl Life team. This one is all about your own mental health and how connecting with nature can positively impact your well-being. So really expanding on the things that Alice was talking about at the end there. That will be held on Tuesday, the 11th of May at 7 o'clock in the Twinkl Teaching Wellbeing group. We have been delighted to speak to you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you there next week.